Hi, I'm Elliot. I'm the lead videographer and cinematographer for Upwall Films. It's our first YouTube video in quite some time. We have not posted any YouTube content purely because we've been turning Upwall Films into a production company, which has kept us really busy over the last couple of years. But I just want to say thank you to our existing subscribers for staying subscribed. However, we are going to be posting some more content, so if there's anything you'd like to see, leave it in the comments below. I'd just like to add this video is not sponsored. This is our working camera. It is not a showroom piece by any means. So you'll have to forgive me in advance for any scuffs that you might see on it. So what I'll be touching upon today is our previous camera and why we changed to the C200, as well as sort of showing our C200 cinema build as it currently is. So our first cinema camera was the Blackmagic Ursa Mini Pro 4.6K G1. And we had that camera for about 4 years, from 2019 all the way through to the end of 2023, where we sold it, and so we were on the lookout for a new cinema camera. Now, as part of this build, there are some accessories that we've moved over, so bear that in mind. Those three being the V-Locks, the CFast cards, and the Blackmagic Viewfinder. So why did we choose the C200? I mean, it is a fantastic camera in terms of image quality. They released it about 8 years ago, and they're still selling it now, although for a much nicer price point. It's versatile and it's a lot lighter than our previous camera. So one of the most interesting things was the fact it has a HDMI and an SDI port, and these do run simultaneously, but it just gives you that flexibility to be able to use different video transmitters should you need them. So another thing is our previous camera we had to exclusively run off V-Locks, but with the Canon C200 we get the option to run it off BP batteries, which gives us a nice run and gun setup as well. There's a built-in viewfinder which is nice and snug at the back should you need it, and it does have a diopter as well, which is absolutely fantastic for those glasses wearers like myself. Built-in NDs was a massive plus for us in terms of our previous camera had 6 stops, but this camera gives us up to 10. So obviously I mentioned that we brought some of our accessories over from our previous camera, and obviously we had to downgrade from our dual slot for CFast cards down to a single slot. It was kind of a compromise for us. So the first thing we're going to add is our top plate. We actually bought this from a ex-rental house, secondhand. And that's the other thing, is that you don't need to buy everything new. When you're working on a budget, just things like plates. I mean, as long as they're not threaded, double threaded, and they're working just fine, then secondhand isn't really an issue. So the next thing we're going to add is our rail system, and it consists of our Nicey rig plate and our small rig carbon fibre rails. And we actually have 2 sets of these purely because we don't always need a straight through system if we're not running things like a follow focus. So we are actually using Canon's stock handle, but there are some fantastic third-party options out there. The camera is so light, there's no risk of it coming off at all. But it does mean, because we put an external viewfinder in, we're sitting it further back, and it is locking in that viewfinder. So we actually picked up Tilter's fantastic SDI expander V-Lock plate, and the reason being is because it has a fantastic amount of DTAP options, and also it is an SDI expander, which takes us from the 1 SDI port to 2. Our previous camera had 2 SDI ports, so this was kind of a no-brainer for us. So we were actually using the C200 stock LCD. There are a few fallbacks to this monitor. There's no false color. You cannot put built-in custom LUTs into it. You have the Canon conversion LUT. One of the reasons why we use it is because you can actually connect the LCD completely independently from your HDMI and SDI connections, which means that we just leave those free for additional connections for clients and ACs and that sort of thing. So that's the reason why we use it. Now, obviously, just talking about V-Locks, you get about 90 minutes on the smaller BP battery, and on our previous camera, a V-Lock like this would only last on the Blackmagic for a couple of hours, but we actually get somewhere between 4 and 6 hours depending on how many accessories are plugged in. We've got 3 V-Locks, which takes us to sort of 12 hours, which would be a full shoot day. The next thing, which is a little bit more Wild West, is Blackmagic's Viewfinder, which I've modified. Wooden Camera don't sell the conversion kits anymore, but there were a few tutorials to follow, so I could create this, and I've paired it with a small rig clamp as well. One of the reasons for keeping the Blackmagic Viewfinder is it is an absolutely fantastic viewfinder. I love using it for the 4 years that it was on the Blackmagic, and I am a viewfinder operator. I absolutely love operating with the viewfinder, and it just gives me that nice clean feed. And the best thing of all is that I can trust the image that I'm getting through it. And so that's the reason why I modified it. If you're a bit interested in how I modified it, I'd be happy to make another video on that. Now, obviously, Blackmagic's viewfinder runs off of a 4-pin XLR. Condor Blue have a fantastic option for a 4-pin XLR to a DTAP. Now this cable system is not the neatest, I'm just going to say that now, but it works, that's the main thing. You can always use some cable ties to tidy it up as well to make it nice and neat, but I'm just going to pop that in there, and that goes into our second power slot as well. So the next thing we're going to put on is our lens. We're going to put on this Samyang lens for today. This is one of our older lenses. We've had this since about 2017. And we're just purely putting it on because we're going to be putting on a follow focus today as well. But you know, this camera does have some fantastic autofocus functions, which is one of the reasons we also bought it, which we use with our Sigma 18-35. But like I said, today we're just going to put this on. If we were using our Sigma 18-35, we wouldn't need these rails at the front. So the next thing is our Tario follow focus. Again, we bought this secondhand, not for a lot, but we liked it because it's not too invasive. It's only the single rail, and also the cog is reversible. So the next thing is our small rig 77mm to 114 donut, which we bought secondhand as well, believe it or not. Now this lens is actually 72mm, and the other thing that we recommend buying is step-up rings. We work a lot with vintage lenses and basic lenses with different threads. So it is, really important to have tools like these, because it means you don't have to have, different donuts for everything. You can just have one conversion kit. So until a couple of years ago, we were using our matte box on a rail system with a swing away. And the only thing with this is it does become quite invasive when you're changing different lenses with different lengths, different diameters. So we decided to change this over to a clamp-on system. You'll have to forgive this little cable tie here as well. We are substituting it until we can find a locking pin for it, but obviously it still does the job. So one of the reasons we built the rig like this is because we wanted a universal system that if we needed to change the body out for a job or for changing the camera in the future, we wouldn't have to do a complete rebuild. We would have accessories, power, viewfinders, matte boxes to use on any system. So that's kind of the reason why it's a bit of a Frankenstein. It is not perfect by any means. And if you've got any thoughts on what you think could make it better, let us know in the comments. And then it's that ethic of, if something's not working, can you work around it, as opposed to picking up a completely new system. So I hope you enjoyed this camera build at least, and it is our first video. Let us know if there's anything else you'd like to see, and yeah, we'll see you soon.